Hey guys, welcome to the final high school podcast. This is our senior year, so yeah,
Ye-
we're near the end. Yep. Uh, wow, man, this might be the longest podcast yet. Like our last one was like what 2.5 hours long,
It was almost
somewhere
two
around
hours.
there. Wow, and so this actually might be like 2.5 hours since we got a lot to talk about. So yeah, I mean let's start with retreat. So
Yes.
yes. So this year uh they brought back skits pretty much,
Mhm.
and that was pain.
Mhm.
I don't know I don't know why they thought it was a good idea, cuz I thought it was a pretty awesome idea that we didn't do it junior year. But no, apparently they wanted to do it again. What was your skit?
Um. So the theme, for that year was like Disney stuff,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, so
I can't even
yeah.
remember what my skit was. It was some Disney character, but I can't remember.
And by Disney, like, Disney owns like a lot of companies now. Like Disney's pretty soon going to like take over the world in like 2035, around there. So like there was like one group that did Star Wars, one group that did like some Marvel characters, and then another group that did some shows from like Disney Channel, but like no one really understood it, or at least the older people didn't understand it at all.
Yeah.
Cause like no one, I mean, no, I don't even watch like those Disney like channel shows anymore. Like the comedy ones, just because I haven't watched them since like middle school. Like it's been that long.
I
So
wasn't
they were
really
doing a.
I wasn't really a Disney Channel guy when I was like a kid. I guess
Uh,
I always
I
watched
was
Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I was always into the cartoons as well. So like the Disney stuff was like I just watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch a lot of it. But what was yours
Um.
necessarily? Like was it
Uh,
like I don't even remember at all. It wasn't. Uh,
it was like Uh, uh, can't even remember. I just remember that I had to, like, pretend to be a girl or something and run away. And Ryan was somebody, and I can't remember. I think it might have been Marvel, but I just can't remember.
no. Okay. I mean, this was I mean, I don't think the skits were as bad as like our freshman year ones. I still didn't like doing that, but this was probably like the second worst for me. But I remember, another big thing that just kept happening was this guy's gonna wear a dress, that guy's gonna wear a dress, this guy's gonna talk like a girl, this girl's gonna talk like a boy. I'm like, what are we doing? Are we
Yeah.
just are we just making our school woke now? Is that what we're doing? We're gonna make our skits woke now? Like, come on. Can we do something a little better than this guy's a girl, this girl's a guy? Like, I don't know why we were doing that.
That's the
Like, throughout.
pinnacle of comedy right there, pretending to be something you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're like 4 years old, it's funny, but nowadays it's like how today's society works. It's just not funny anymore to me, because like, I mean, even then, if we were to record someone, like some guy like doing a parody of like being a girl, and we like uploaded that to like every phone in California, we'd probably get cancel cultured, like for sure. But anyway, like they brought up a dress. Like I don't remember whose dress it was. I think it was like Blake Pruitt's sister, someone. I
Mm-hmm.
had a dress, and they all wanted me to wear it at first.
Oof.
And my argument was I'm way too big for that thing, and I'm a freaking man. Like, make Blake wear it instead. And so
I remember
I got
both
out of that
running.
one. I literally finessed myself out of that. I mean, come on, like you really think they have any say to what I can do? No, like no,
Well, I
that
don't
just ain't
know.
gonna happen.
Gotta be a team player sometimes, Carlos.
Yeah. Oh, you really think I like care? This whole house system was like, you really think I cared about the house system? I wasn't a team player until like that until like our sports seasons. Like that's a team. Like that's getting your hands dirty, grinding your cleats through that grass, and putting in the work, and screaming your head off as you do it. This was just being stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you. However, there was one. There were a couple good things about the skits. One of them, shout out to Dominic, who pretended to be Mr. Annis, and he
Oh
did
yeah.
so good
He
just
did.
by imitating his voice. He's like, the volume in here is astronomical, kids. Like, y'all better keep it down. Alright, I see y'all volume up here. You gotta bring it down here.
Dominic's great.
And he was so good. And the power walking, I mean, that was also the best thing yet. All what I did was just greet someone. I think that's all I did. I just greeted someone and then walked off to the side because I was like, the best way to end my senior year skit is by not being in the skit that much. And that's what I did.
I can't even remember what my skit was about because I was so tired.
Do you
that day.
remember Josh's and like
I just
Legend
remember Hudson's
when he
played Anger
so like
from
from Inside Out.
yeah, that was good.
That was funny. That was pretty funny.
That was good.
Do you remember Josh and Legends? They were doing Star Wars, and actually to provide a little more context now, they made a couple like controversial changes to the school, and one of them is like you're not allowed to have your phone on your person. It has to be either locked up in your car so it can either A, get super hot and overheat in the sun, or get frozen in the negative 10-degree weather, or you put it in your locker for someone to just go in and steal it because there's no locks on the lockers.
Well, no one's gonna steal it, but yeah, I just
But
kept it on
still,
my
like,
person
you wouldn't
anyway.
want it. I mean, the phones are kind of expensive, man, and I have to pay for mine, and I wouldn't want to, like,
Oh yeah, I
leave
paid
my
for mine.
expensive device. Like, imagine, like, if I, like, put my PC and just stuck it in my locker with it unlocked for an entire summer, I can guarantee you someone would take that thing. And I would be really sad. But anyway, so Legend was playing Darth Vader in the skit, and Josh like had his phone out. Now it wasn't his phone; it was like an already broken phone. And Josh was like, "Oh, so I gotta get service," and then Legend in his Vader voice is like, "Oh, is that a phone?" And he like pretends to use the Force to make Josh raise it up in the air and smash it on the ground. And Legend just goes, "That's the policy." Like, yep,
Yeah,
that's tough.
Legend was the principal.
And then,
So
yeah, the
Yeah.
principal, and they use the term Emperor Marsh, even
Yeah.
though if Marsh was the emperor, I don't think he'd be that bad of an emperor. Like he wouldn't be like having a creepy laugh or like shooting lightning out of his fingers or like have a really wrinkly messed up face. So yeah, I mean those were pretty much the skits. I mean there's not really too much to talk about them. I think my team got like second place or whatever. There is I don't really there is one thing that happened, and that was the overnight challenge that we did. And I think we were the first class to where all of us actually accomplished it. I mean, we had a couple close calls with Mason, but you just kick Mason on the leg and he'll like wake up again.
Oh, you mean the
So
trying
that
to stay
wasn't.
up all night thing? Yeah.
Yeah, the overnight challenge. And Mr. Tinkham didn't do it with us. It would have been fun if he did.
I don't think he ever
Mr.
does
Tink-
with any of the classes. He just goes to
No.
bed.
Yeah. And so we so I don't know, like how did you do throughout the whole thing?
Oh, I was fine. I started to get a little tired, so then me and Ryan wrestled, and it woke me
And
up.
he like destroyed your neck.
Yeah,
He
because
destroyed
he
your
got me in
neck.
like a hold, and I got out of it. But when I got out of it, it was like a little thingy, so it
Yeah.
like hurt my neck. And then then I played beer pong, but without the beer, and replace it with Monster. So it was just,
No, I think it was Red Bull that was in
or maybe it was
little
Red Bull. Yeah.
plastic things, which I mean that's like nowhere near as bad. And they bought like a bunch of Red Bulls and stuff, and I had like 5 of them that night.
I
And
don't
so
know. Red Bull doesn't do
throughout
very
that
much
night,
for me.
no, it really doesn't. I thought it would, but it really doesn't. So I drank 5 Red Bulls, and I was eating like a bunch of junk food, and then my stomach was feeling so bad when we were like nearing the end. I was like, oh no, I really
Yeah.
don't want to do this right now. And so so what I did actually was I just went in the kitchen, got an apple, ate it, and I felt much better. And now
Nice.
the one super weird thing that happened while we were doing this challenge, and it was like near the last hour or two of it, if you
Yep.
remember.
Yep.
We turned off all the lights, got in like somewhat of a circle kind of group, and they thought, I don't know who thought of this idea. I think it was maybe Legend. Thought that we should get a speaker and play sad music, get everyone all riled up in emotions. And
I thought it was funny. It was like,
yeah, no, it was the most laughable thing ever. And
'cause, like,
everyone was kind of quiet and like singing along with the song all emotionally, and then me and you were in the back just laughing
Me,
at
you,
everyone,
Jacob,
like look at all these clowns.
well, because it was like
we're
so weird. At like 5 o'clock in the morning,
it
we're all super tired, and then everyone starts getting in a circle. I'm like, oh, maybe we'll play a game or something. And then they whip out a speaker and they start playing. I don't even know what the songs were, but they were these sad songs. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, what the crap is going on? And I look over at you, and you're sitting there like, I don't know, bro. And then I look over at Jacob, and he's just kind of like sitting there. And Josiah, I think Josiah was kind of getting into it a little bit. I'm not sure though. And then Mason was getting mad at us because we were laughing. Because it was so stupid.
We
like,
were laughing. We were, yeah, it was so stupid. Like why would we do that? It's the beginning of the year and we're gonna start off like this. Like come on. And so Mason's like, what are you laughing about? And then you go, we'll tell you later. And I'm like, no, we won't. That's what made Mason mad at us at the time.
well, because
It's like, it's so stupid. Like
the whole
why
thing
would we
was just
do
so
that?
weird. Like we're playing board games and we're doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, let's just shut it down. And then a couple people almost fell asleep during that because let's turn off all the lights while we're trying to stay awake all night and sit in a circle and do nothing. Like, no, that's not how you stay up all night. So it was dumb. I can get why some people wanted to do it. I could totally understand why some people want to do it, but it was just weird that they wanted like everybody to do it.
I mean, if I'm naturally feeling sad, I'm okay with that, but I'm not gonna try to force that upon myself. I don't know why that's appealing to so many people. They're trying to force themselves to like play with their own emotions to make them sad, or they're. And I mean, it could be another thing. Like maybe you do something that's like purposely making you mad or something, and it's like I just don't understand what the heck the point of this
Well,
is.
some people like to feel
Like,
sad. Feeling sad can be addictive sometimes. That's why people with depression,
that's
it's
not
really
good.
hard for them to get out of depression because, like, they get addicted to it and then they just like feeling sad all the time.
Yeah, I guess so. But we did the run, the soccer run, and it was once again easy. We just let 2 cars pass us, and then we turned around.
That was great.
But after we got back, that was when I was starting to feel extremely tired.
Yeah.
Like just waiting for breakfast. All of us were in a circle. And like I didn't fall asleep, but my eyes were shut and just my head was down. So I didn't necessarily fall asleep. But then after breakfast, we like did some games and stuff. And I did awful during the games. Like yesterday, one of the new teachers, Mrs. Sylvie, she was like telling me, "Yeah, good job, Carlos." But then that the next day when I like stayed up all night, she's like, "Carlos, you're not doing so well. Are you okay? Like you don't look well." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just tired." Like, you know that face Napoleon Dynamite makes, just his default face with his mouth hanging open and his eyes nearly closed?
Yeah.
That was literally me. That was the face I was making.
I remember
that. And
before we went on our soccer run, some of the girls were like, "Let's go and watch the sunset," but it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. Or not the sunset, sunrise.
This one girl, the sunrise. This one girl just convinced everyone else that it was gonna rise at 6:30.
I looked it up. It wasn't gonna rise till like 7:30 that day, and so I was
and it
sitting there.
actually
I'm
wasn't
like,
until.
I even told
it wasn't
them,
until 7:45.
I told them.
And then there. And then this
like,
one was like, "No, it's rising at 6:30." I'm like, "No, like,
so,
what are you doing?" And so she's outside,
Yeah.
just freezing her head off for like a half hour, and then comes back inside and then misses the sunrise. And I actually watched it through that giant glass window. It was amazing.
It was.
But
it was pretty good.
we after the games, I was even more tired because when you're tired, you do active stuff. And then after you're done with the active stuff, you're going to get even more tired. So then we had to sit through one of the speakers. Now, was this guy was a pastor, right? Or
It was Mrs. Hanley's husband.
Yeah.
I think he's a pastor, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought he was pretty cool. The problem was all of us were tired. And so
what
think
he was saying was good. I was just so tired.
Yeah, exactly. So I was on the bench along with Josh and Legend, maybe.
I was sitting next to Josh, and then I think Legend.
Oh, so it was
there
so it was
too.
you, Legend, me, and Josh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then this one time, like all of us were like kind of like trying to not have our heads laying down because we didn't want to like seem. I mean, he didn't know that we did the overnight challenge, and so we didn't want to make ourselves look bad.
Yeah.
But this guy goes, "Everyone close your eyes." We all just lay our heads down, and that was like, I feel like I took a 30-second power nap right there.
Well, he was trying to get us to like, everybody, I want you to close your eyes and really think about what I'm saying. And so, we all closed our eyes, and he's talking, but yeah, we all just crashed. And I think I fell asleep for at least 5 minutes, and then I like woke up like, ooh, ooh.
Did you see Josiah's?
Yeah.
Like sitting on the chair.
No, Josiah was standing up.
He's hunched. No, he was on the chair.
Yeah, but he stood up after that.
He was still injured. Remember, he had the crutches and everything, and so he actually had to sit down on a chair. And so I look over. He's like kind of hunched over, but his eyes are like, they slowly start to close and they open again, then they slowly start to close and then they open again, and that happened like 30 times.
Yeah.
And
I remember him
so
saying.
then
I remember him saying that he was falling asleep in the chair, so then he decided to stand up, and then he fell asleep
Yeah.
while he was standing up next to the tree. But then he got back in the chair or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, that was that was like not fun. And then this one girl, okay, we won't say her name, but
Ye-
she she's wait, did you just say their name?
No. No.
Okay, I thought okay, I guess Discord kind of lagged on me, and I thought you just called them
My
out. I'm
Wi-Fi
like,
is
dude, let's not do
oof.
that.
No, I just
No,
said ye.
it's not that bad today. Yeah, you said ye.
Yeah.
No, your Wi-Fi's not that bad today. I can hear you a little bit better. But this one girl, like, for some reason, was just freezing cold, despite the fact that she was wearing like a coat, some jeans, and I think she had a blanket around her, along with a hot cup of coffee, and she was still like freezing cold, like, like you know that I don't. It's hard to imitate
I
what
can't
they were
even remember how she
doing.
used to do it. Used to like.
Like her lip was just was just like moving fast constantly. Like I feel like you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Like when you get cold, and your mouth kind of moves and your teeth kind of like stutter a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was happening, and then the whole time I'm just like, I break down all these factors, and I'm like, after all this, she's still like freezing cold. I'm in shorts and a short sleeve shirt.
Well,
like,
it's
and
like
I'm
early
doing just
September.
fine.
It's the end of summer, but it's still like 70 or 65
Yeah,
maybe.
and it wasn't that cold. It was like maybe 11 o'clock in the morning, and so the temperature wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was fine, but then I think it was just because she was tired, um, and so she thought she was cold, and so she was cold. Because you know, when you think you're something, you can become it. So, and then
Yeah, I get it.
she
Yeah.
was tired, so she also took a nap, and then she woke up like a half hour later. So she missed our little chapel with the pastor, and then she came back afterwards.
Yeah. Um. So then after the chapel, I think we just did a couple more games, and then we did the skits. I mean, we already explained the skits. I'm not gonna go over that again.
Yeah.
But then they announced the winners, and I didn't really care if we won or lost. I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. Then we went on the bus back home
That was nice.
because we weren't in house leadership, so it was actually a good thing that we didn't drive ourselves over there this
Yeah.
time. So I remember, I put on my wireless earbuds, and
Was the Sound
I
Peats?
think all of us seen Sound Peats at the time. Before I upgraded to the AirPods Pro, I lay down, and I think all of us senior guys were like in the front so that we could get off the bus faster as
Yeah.
soon as we got there. And I fell asleep, and it was just the nicest thing ever. It was
because it's like an hour
good.
drive from there back to the school.
Yeah.
So we had like an
It
hour of
was-
sleep, and I fell asleep like within 5 minutes, and then I woke up right as we were getting to the school. It was like a super
I woke
fast
up-
bus ride because I was just like,
I woke up as
Sleep.
soon as the driver pulled up into FFA Drive.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, what else? I mean, then I went home and I fell asleep for like 13 hours. I mean, that was probably the most sleep I've ever gotten in my life.
I
Even
got
to
home,
this day. I
and I
don't
was
think I've
like-
ever slept that much.
I was gonna go take a nap, and my dad's like, no, you're gonna offset your sleep schedule. You gotta stay up until 9, where when you normally go to sleep, or 10 when you normally go to sleep. So I was like, So yeah, I survived off like an hour of sleep for that entire day, and then went to bed. And then I had to go to church the next
Okay.
day, so I had to wake up kind of early-ish.
Yeah, I mean,
But it was nice.
That's not too bad. I actually had to. The next day we had a soccer game, and it was around. It was at like 10 o'clock. So we actually had to get up somewhat early for me to go to our soccer game, and I think we won. Yeah, I think we won. It was against a Whitefish,
Yeah,
and we beat them.
there were so many
And
Saturday games that last year. senior
yeah,
year. And I remember getting kind of angry at Andy. I'm like, why did you schedule like half of our games on Saturdays? Like, come on. It's so annoying.
Mm-hmm. Once again, more evidence that he likes to throw you under the bus along with me. We'll get to that later. So speaking of soccer, well, actually, no. Before we talk about soccer, do you want to talk about how COVID affected our school, or do you want to save that section for later? Because I think that's a whole nother section we can save for a little bit later in the podcast. Or do you just want to talk about soccer?
We should just talk about soccer, then we'll talk about the COVID stuff later.
Yeah, and then that'll transition to basketball because the COVID and basketball stuff had more correlation with each other. So soccer, I will say the tryout, like the first day, like doing tryouts and stuff, I actually didn't do too bad. I thought I did pretty good that day. I remember during the drills, like when we had the mini goals, I think I was playing defense. I just took the ball around the wing and just scored a goal, and I felt magnificent. And then Lodine, who was our coach at the time, it wasn't O'Rourke, so we had Tinkham as our conditioning coach. Zach and Josh Anderson's dad were the JV coaches. Yep. Lodine was the new head coach. So, and Joe King was like an assistant varsity coach as well. So, and Lodine was like watching me as I did that. I was like, let's go! And so I felt pretty good doing that. Didn't you get a good score as well?
I don't know. It was good enough to be a starter, so.
But then we had, at the end of the practice, wasn't that great because we had to do the beep test. And I think we had to make like...
I hate the beep test.
9.5. Yeah, it was like 9.5.
Something like that.
Level 9.5. And I only made it up to 7. And so...
I think I got less than that. I got like 6 something.
And so that was tough. And then the day after that, we did the 2 mile. Now,
ouch.
I'm gonna be upfront. I didn't do a ton of running. I did a little bit of running, but I feel like it would have been enough to barely make this 2 mile. And throughout the rest of the conditioning we did for the rest of the year, I did one tactic and one tactic only. And that plan was just keep up with Josh. That was it. Cash. Just keep up with Josh. Because, like, Josh and I have, like, the most similar body types. You know, I'm not, like, super tall like Mason or Jacob. And so it wouldn't make sense for me to try to keep up with him. And so Josh and I have, like, a more similar build. So I was like, yeah, just keep up with Josh. And for the 2 mile, I actually, like, mostly kept up with him. And then he was, like, 10 seconds ahead of me. But I made it, you know, I think I got 13 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was, like, pretty excited that happened. I felt pretty good about that. That was for sure.
I did terrible in conditioning that year.
Yeah.
Because, like, since I was a senior, so you're supposed to set a good example. And since I was a starter, too. And they're like, so you actually have to, like, do them to be a starter, Micah. And I was like, So,
yeah,
the 2 mile,
even though you didn't, and you were a starter anyway.
The 2 mile,
but anyway,
they made me redo it like 4 times because I couldn't get it. And on the 4th time, I was like 5 seconds off. I got like a 13:35. And Joe King was like, let me talk to coach. And he runs over, and Lodine's like, oh, it's fine, whatever. Because I was like so close. And it was awful. And I'd done it. It was like 2 weeks of doing the 2 mile. And then,
so you didn't get a lot of breaks in between them for sure.
And then beep test, I had to do the beep test like 3 times.
Because I couldn't get it. No, I think so. In order to qualify, you did it twice, right? Like, and the second time, you know, it was actually our 3rd day of doing conditioning, and at the time, our conditioning was all over. But I actually jumped in and did it with you.
Yeah. And a lot of guys did.
The funny thing was, and then all the other seniors did eventually, and you made it, right? You made it, but barely. You thought you were standing at the wrong side, and so Joe's like, "Yo, Micah, you ready?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And then Joe's like, "You know, it goes the other way, right?" And the other way was like longer
because it's a rectangle.
And so you were like, "Oh." And so you're like, oh no.
I swear they made it longer than what it used to be.
Yeah, I feel like they make it longer. They made it longer every year. Like, it's crazy. Like, I can't. I don't have like a photographic memory of like the specific yards in between the cones,
Yards.
but I definitely feel like it made it out in the yard. For sure. Dang, you distracted me. Why did you have to say that? Stop saying No, stop saying Ram Ranch. Nobody wants to hear that BS. It is borderline suspicious how often you actually like Ram Ranch. Anyway, so we did the 2 mile.
18 Cowboys
Well,
ever
the
so
2 mile.
hard.
Okay, stop. Just stop. Okay. I feel you just made me scream, and now that deep fried my mic.
Out
now,
in the
so
yard.
thanks for that.
All right, I'm done.
Okay,
I'm done.
stop. Okay. Anyway, so, trying to remember what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so we did the beat test after that, and then we like did our little field trip. Now, before we would go to the Macaros, but because like the Lucas, was gone, and like, since he was like a year older than us.
He was a senior when we were juniors, so our senior year he
Yeah.
graduated.
Yeah, so we went to a hiking trail. Now, there were 3 different groups. There was one group that was like full sprint over there. The second group was with Tinkum, and that was with Joe King. The second group was with Tinkum, where we jog, and the third group was with Zach Bassnett and just walking, because Zach was like, I think he still had like his ACL
Yeah, he had some knee problem.
like recovery, and so I think Jacob and I just did Tinkum's, but I think we lost. I think we got lost a little bit.
I can't
And so
remember
we had to
who I
like
was
find
running
our way
with.
back.
I think I was running with Josiah. No,
Yeah.
that was on the way back. I was running with. On the way there, I thought I was running with Jacob maybe, because
So
Tinkham
then-
wanted us to all run with him, but then we like fell
Yeah.
behind, so we were in between him and somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I just remember when we went to our destination, did a little devotion, as like we all kind of do. It's like a yearly thing to do. And then we came back. What happened was we were walking back.
Oh, yeah.
Josiah was hitting me with a little stick. And the funny thing is, Lodine walked past us and he's like, Josiah, you better not hurt one of my players. You better not hurt one of my varsity players. And then Josiah, like, can you explain to me how the thing fell on my head again and what
Okay.
that thing was? Because I have no idea what fell on
Josiah
my
had
head.
this stick, and he was hitting stuff with it, and he was right behind you, and so he took the stick and he hit a tree branch that was like above the path with the stick, and he hit it, and the stick broke, and then the part of the stick that broke off flew down from the tree branch and hit you in the back of the head.
So yeah, when that hit me in the back of the head, I remember I heard Josiah go, "Oh!" Like, "Oh no, something's about to happen."
Yeah.
And then half a second later, something hits my head and I hear ringing in my ears. And then I touch the back of my head, look at my hand, and there's blood
Yeah.
like coming out of the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at Joe, cuz like, "Joe, what did the coach just say? Don't hurt one of your players." And what do? You give him a brain injury. Now, I was exaggerating, jokingly, but I just remember walking back, and then everyone's like, whoa, that looks really dark. And so then I had to wash that out with water, and I had like a tiny bump on the back of my head, but it wasn't like cracked open or anything. I never had to like get surgery or anything. I just had to let
Stitches.
that recover for a while.
Yeah.
And when I got back home, I actually didn't tell my mom about it, because I was afraid she'd like freak out. Because like if a parent sees like blood like coming out of the back of their child's head, they're gonna freak out, right? And I didn't want her to like know about that, so I didn't tell her until like after the soccer season was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was basically the first week of practice and stuff, and then we just did some games and other stuff, and I feel like, and we also had this thing called Tinkum time as well. Would you like to do the honors and explain how awesome it was?
Well, so when Mr. O'Rourke was coach, he used to have this thing called Family Fun Time. which was the conditioning. And it would usually wouldn't happen that much. It would only happen like when somebody messed up or if we weren't working hard enough. And then he'd be like, all right, everyone, get over here. We're going to do some family fun time. But Tinkum took it to another level because he would do Tinkum time like whenever. Like it would just be random, but it was mostly every day. But it would be random whether we were doing good or not. We would have Tinkum time, but his Tinkum time was a lot different than family fun time because he liked to make it a little bit harder, and we would have like progressions and stuff where you would run.
Yep. Progressions.
Like a sprint burpee progression where you'd run like a little 50 yards there and back, and then do a burpee, like 10 burpees, and then you do the thing
and he
again.
has a high standard for what burpees should be. He's like, you raise your arms up, you jump as high as you can, then you do a full push-up with your elbows tucked all the way in. And so it wasn't like, oh, we just throw our arms up, go down, and like do like half a push-up and then go up. No, we had to do a full thing. Like,
I think Jacob
I wouldn't call it military training because I haven't been through military training, but I feel like Tinkum would be good for military training.
Yeah. I think Jacob still had like oofy push-ups because he always does.
Yeah, and yeah, we can talk about that during basketball because that's actually a funnier thing to talk about. And so, yeah, we did Tinkum times. Now, the season started where we did like 3 of them each practice. And then around the middle of the season, once we were getting closer to state, we did 2. And then right before, like I say, a couple weeks before state, we were doing 1. And just so that we were learning just more about different things and like going over different tactics and like PK shootouts and stuff like that. And I remember he would do this. Lodine actually did this really smart thing called overtime. And it's where he said, I'm going to quote him a little bit. It's where he kills us, and then he puts us in overtime, and we're down by 2.
Yeah.
And so I think he had like the starters go against like the majority of like the bench players, and there were a couple times where they actually beat us, but then there were a few times where me and like Jacob and all them were actually able to defend against them and like kind of win. And which then just made everything like way more intense. And one more thing, I want to talk about the Tinkum time is usually like they would have JV and varsity do it together, and then JV would run like 5 less yards than us, which I can understand. Obviously they're not going to be in good a shape as us because they're JV, but yeah. Tinkum would like always talk about how disappointed he was, mostly because he would mainly be paying attention to them because they would just be messing around with each other as they were doing conditioning. Like they wouldn't really take it seriously enough.
Well, because we didn't have to suffer the consequences when they messed up, because they would mess up and then we would have to run. So Tinkum was using like their failure as our pain. So
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I remember we were doing like a burpee, like we had to do push-ups, then we had to do burpees, and then we had to like do like hops over one guy, and me and you were partnering.
Yeah.
And I won't say his name, but we were waiting for this. We were doing planks all right, let me rephrase this. Varsity was doing planks and JV was doing burpees, and then we would alternate every now and then. And we would start at a high number and then go all the way down to like 5 or 10. So as varsity is doing the plank, we're waiting for this one JV kid to finish their burpees.
Yep.
And it took so freaking long. So what he does is like he stands up, right? He like puts his hands on his hips, and we're like, yes, we're done. And I was about to get up, and then he jumps up and like lifts his hands up in the air. We're like, no, you're the chosen one, like that kind of thing, because we were dying at the time.
Well,
and
you know,
then they got to do like a shorter plank
when you're doing,
after they were
well, yeah, they
done.
gotta do shorter planks because we did burpees faster. So yeah.
Way faster too. Um, but then after the JV season was over and it was just varsity practice, Tinkum, since Tinkum's full attention was on us and not the JV guys, because the JV guys this time were like younger, like they were all like freshmen, eighth graders. There were no like juniors or sophomores or yeah, I don't think there were any juniors or sophomores at the time, and so he would always like pay attention to them because they would kind of screw around all the time. But then for us, we would actually like take it seriously, and we actually got in pretty good shape, I say. Like though, was there ever a time you noticed when you thought well like you ran a sprint or something, you're like, dang, I got fast, or like I got in better shape? Was there ever a time that happened for you, Micah?
Um, I noticed that not necessarily in practice because I'd think about being tired and then I get tired, but like during a game when my mind's not like my mind's in the game and not thinking like, oh, I'm so tired, you know. Yeah, I noticed that I
Yeah.
could not necessarily run faster, but I could run longer. Yeah. I felt good.
Okay.
It was good conditioning. And I was excited for basketball too. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do so good in basketball." But
Yeah.
we'll get to that later.
I know that sucks, but for me, the one moment I realized is when we were doing hundreds. Now we weren't doing 120s, so on one hand it was easier, but on the other hand we were doing them a lot more often. Like every other day we would kind of do hundreds.
Yeah.
And so what Tinkham would do is, he would like have his like finger pointed up in the air, then he squats down and then blows the whistle as he like, you know, swings his arm down, and then we would run and do hundreds. I don't know what happened. I was just looking at the ground, and then I don't know. I think, and then my body movement just went like super excessive, and I I think, and then I made it there like in time. It was like our 10th one too, and so that was when it was getting really hard. And they didn't increase the time or anything. It was always the same time. Like of like 15, 14 seconds, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Sometimes 13 seconds, sometimes 13. And so what would happen is, there were some days where I felt super tired, but then near the end of the season, I feel like that's when I was able to be in good condition and like super fast as well at the time. And we can talk about that a little bit during basketball season because something amazing actually happened in that season one time. And there were, I mean, I don't want to like say this and throw you under the bus, but there were a few times where I like outran you. Just a few.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're just naturally like in better shape than me because God just granted you with perfect genetics, and then he granted me with crappy ones.
No.
He just gave you like really bad lungs though, so that's why
No,
your conditioning wasn't.
I can run fast for a short period of time and then I get tired. And I've always been like that. And I can it takes a lot of conditioning for me to get to the point where I can run longer. And I don't know. And I can't really get myself to be faster. Like I'm always going to be the same speed. It's just I can be the same speed longer. So that's all conditioning does for me.
Yeah.
So like
for sure.
In basketball I was always pretty good cuz it was a shorter court. But in soccer I'd always get tired pretty fast cuz it's friggin' huge.
There's definitely a big difference between the two for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I can only think of 2 times I actually outran you, but then most of the other time, you would be like 5 yards ahead of me, and I'm like, oh, why?
Well, I get tired easily.
But one more before we talk about state. I do want to mention one funny thing that actually happened. So me, you, and Jacob were doing like triangle passing to each other, and Jacob, as a joke, would like sometimes try to boot the thing in my face, even though I could just duck and it wouldn't hit me in the face. But there was a van like right behind me.
Oh,
And I thought,
yeah.
like, so Jacob backs up like 10 yards, so which is the clear indication he's gonna boot it right in my face. So I duck, and Jacob didn't need to boot it because he was like 10 yards away from me. Like he could have just done an easy pass. But after he does that and I duck, the soccer ball hits some random guy's minivan.
Yep.
And after that, I was like, Jacob, what were you thinking? And then Jacob was like, oh no. Like, the face he made. Like, you know the face he made in Barbarossa when he was like, huh? Yeah, it was pretty much that face all over again.
Yep.
So now, before we talk about state, actually, the assembly.
Oh, that was awful.
You wanna?
Terrible
I know.
assembly.
Awful. So in most assemblies, they have the girls go first and the guys go. But because of COVID, we were doing that and senior night at the same time for some reason. And what ended up happening was, instead of just having everyone compact in the gym, because of COVID and the CDC, and actually Joe Biden wasn't the president yet, but the feds, there wasn't that many people in there this time. And like even my mom said that it was kind of sad. Like it just wasn't that good at all. And so all of us and then they called up all of our names and stuff, and we had to take this full trail all the way down. Like we had to run all the way from the elementary building. Like we had to maneuver around that entire area.
Well,
and then
usually what they would do, like if it was normal, they would pack the gym full of everybody, and then they'd call your name to like hype you up, and then you'd run around the gym and like give everyone a high five, and then you'd stop. But since COVID was a thing, all the kids had to like stay in their areas, so all the kids were still in the elementary building and stuff like that. Nobody was in the gym except for the parents, and so we had to run around the elementary, and then we had to run around the elementary again because it's like 2 stories, and then we had to run to the high school, around the high school, and then into the gym. So it was actually kind of like a little bit of a big run, bigger than I'm used to. But yeah,
for sure. But like still like it wasn't even that bad. And like the girls, like I think it was like the volleyball or like soccer or whatever, I don't remember which one, but they were like, they all went from like a sprint to like a very slow walk, and like, oh, we're so tired. Then Hayden's like, no, this is where we put in the work.
Let's go,
and
boys. This is where we put in the work.
We still just kept running ahead. But then like there was a time when there was like a pause because like they didn't open the doors for us at the
because it was just
like
the
at the
volleyball
middle
girls
school.
didn't drop out, but they were slower because, no offense to the volleyball girls, but they don't do a whole lot of conditioning.
Yeah, it's more about precision and time.
Yeah, like their
accuracy
sport
and stuff like that.
Their sport takes a lot of skill, but it's not very much of like running.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of running,
I
but
can't.
not a whole lot,
Yeah, there's like a lot of sports aren't running. Like golf, baseball. Like baseball. Like I mean, all you gotta do is just run fast if you need to, which is not that hard to do, but it's not like consistent.
I always thought that I would be pretty good at baseball, because like I can run
Football
fast
for sure requires a ton of running.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you'd be a good football player too. Like you could be like a good wide receiver for sure.
Yeah, I'm too short though. Maybe like a running back.
Yeah. Running back. Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Legend could be the quarterback. That could be kind of fun. But also, we did the pep assembly and senior night, or like senior day, since it was the middle of the afternoon, at the same time as well. And so,
Yep.
what ended up happening was like we weren't allowed to walk with our parents because of COVID, which makes no fracking sense whatsoever.
No, we could walk with our parents.
Because no, we couldn't. It was
sure?
the basketball senior night we could, but not the soccer senior night. We just had to stay in a line, get our names called up
We would
by
grab a
Mr.
flower
Marsh, and then we grabbed the flower, and I give it to my mom, and then that was that.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't actually get to walk with them or anything, which was so stupid.
Yeah,
like,
that was super weird.
Like, why? I literally live like 10 yards. Like, I'm like right now as I'm speaking. Okay, I'm gonna just say 30 feet. A distance from my mom. All right, Micah, you better stop that Ram Ranch BS. No one wants to hear that.
I'm not
but anyway,
it's all on your mind.
What happened was so we did that. It was kind of disappointing, but it was also kind of nice to get called up. And then the pep assembly was over. Now, usually after a pep assembly, we get on the bus. We're super hyped up. We're like, let's go take the trophy. But we did it a whole week early.
Yep.
And so what do we do after the pep assembly?
Well, usually we'd get on a bus and go to state. But this time we just went home.
No, we went. I think we practiced that day,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
It was just super lame.
Which was kind of, do you remember why we do that, or was there like why did we do that again?
It was just bad scheduling from Andy. He was like, "Let's do the pep assembly, where everyone's supposed to get hype for state a week before state, so the hype is gone by the time state comes."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just weird. I didn't understand why.
I mean, the hype wasn't gone, but like the hype, it was there, then it died, and then it had to get built up again.
Well, yeah, we had to hype up ourselves.
That's basically what happened.
The school, school used to hype us up, but now we had to be like on the bus.
But then, so then we did that, and then do you want to know another thing Andy did? He like took one of the days we were supposed to stay overnight.
Oh yeah, and he thought he was doing us a favor too. He's like, "Oh, you guys are gonna like this. I made it so you guys don't have to stay an extra night. You guys can just leave." And I'm like, "What the crap, Andy? I want to stay another night." I mean,
screw you, man. Like,
sleeping in the hotel room with the boys is the best.
Why do you have to screw us over so many times? Like, what were you thinking?
I just don't know if he I don't know if he was screwing us over, but he just didn't realize what we wanted, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he clearly didn't care about what you and I like wanted at all, but that's for the basketball discussion. Let's actually get to when state happened. So we take the bus ride, we get to state, and then we won the first game. Obviously, like I had no doubt in my mind that we were gonna win this one. I even played a little bit.
It was like,
imagine, no, I think I played like almost the entire second half after we were like 6 goals ahead.
Yeah, they put me in forward because we were winning by so much, and I was the only forward. It was like a 1v4 against their defenders, and I almost scored because they were so bad on a 1v4.
So we won that, and then the night afterward, we were like getting ourselves prepared. We ate some dinner, and then we like did a little, like Hayden and Caleb and like I think Josh too and Ethan did like little motivational speech. They were like, there's no reason to not give it your all since this is the last game.
Yeah.
And it actually snowed the night before. Now, I want to talk about little invention I made when the snow hit. So what I did was I took a plastic bag and some duct tape, wrapped the plastic bag around my foot, and then wrap the tape around my foot to like make a shield for it. And then I would mega loosen my laces for my cleats. And I put the shoes in, right? And so it actually made my cleats like look like a bigger size, but it worked. My feet like weren't getting soaked in the snow because it snowed hard the second day.
Yeah, my feet got pretty wet.
And then we also bought, like, we were like getting super prepared for the coat. Like, we had puffy jackets, and then I think all of us bought some hand warmers, and I bought some like tight gloves and like put like a hand warmer on each side of my hand, and because obviously you don't need to use your hands. It's not like basketball or anything.
I only have hand
And
warmers on the palms of my hands.
and before I like talk about anything, since I know Lodine before like already gave us the schedule of like who's gonna be playing where, except for one of the wings.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually talked to him, and I told him that I would like to do that, and I literally gave him my word I would do everything I potentially could and give it all I got in that game. And then that was that. He said, thank you for telling me, I'll think about it. And then we get to the game, and at first we were winning around the first half, but the ref, we kind of got screwed over because of the ref.
Yeah.
Now, here's my little philosophy. Refs don't win or lose games. I think refs are very crucial to the game. Any sport, football, basketball, soccer, all very important. Like,
yep.
But there were two things that happened that just made me feel like LeBron, that like brought out the LeBron James inside me and just made me want to go complain to the ref, because that's what LeBron James
Yep.
does all the time.
Yep.
So the first thing that happened was one of the forwards on the other team pulled Josh's arm down so he couldn't catch the ball. And it went in, and Josh literally tried to tell him, and so did all the other captains, but for some reason the ref just didn't buy it. I don't know why he didn't, when you have like 5+ witnesses saying so, and an entire stands yelling at you about it. Like, don't you, like, I don't understand how he didn't notice that.
That ref was trash.
Because he was clearly looking that way. And then the second thing that happened was this guy got a cramp when he was running side by side with Daniel, and he thought that Daniel like did something to him. And the
he
thing
thought
is,
Daniel shoved him or something.
yeah. But the thing is, that didn't happen. What happened was the guy got a cramp, and we're not saying that because that's what we thought. We were saying that because one of the person who fell down admitted to having a cramp, and the ref was like, I saw what I saw.
Yeah.
And gave them a free PK.
Yep.
What? You're telling me the person who got hurt is like honestly, like, that guy is honestly awesome for saying that. Like, even though we still lost and they got the PK, like, I still have respect, like deep respect for that guy, because you could easily just be silent about it and be like, and just like kind of try to get away with it. I mean, they still got away with it anyway because the ref just let them. But yeah, I mean, like 2 of their goals should not have counted at all, and then we should have won by like 1 or 2 points. No, I think 1 point. But
yeah.
they did get a couple legit good goals. I mean, I will admit we were stabbing a little bit, and like one of the shorter kids like got a good goal. It was kind of unlucky though, but like not unfair, because there was like a little bump on the grass and Josh couldn't hit it with his fist on the ground. But anyway, regardless, it went in, and then he did it again. But then those other two just completely screwed us over. And the worst thing for me was and for Jacob too, is Jacob and I didn't go in at all. And because, like, okay, so for Jacob, I can kind of understand, because he's mainly a defensive player, and I guess Lodine didn't want to sub out like Isaac, Trustin, or Daniel to put Jacob in. But yeah, I guess I could kind of understand why he did that, but on the other hand, I feel like Jacob should have been given at least a little bit of time, especially if we were like 2 goals up. But for you, I mean, you were telling me before, like, you were like exhausted.
I was so
after
tired.
playing? Because you were playing the wing, and he pulled you out, right? Just for a couple minutes, right?
He pulled me out one time during the game, like right before half, for like 5 minutes, and then he
Mm-hmm.
put me back in, and I was like
And
so
you were still
tired.
tired, weren't you?
Of
Weren't you
course, I was
like
still
still
tired.
exhausted? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that would have been a good time for me to go in for you, cause like I have a lot of experience playing wing. You know, I played wing, and like I was kind of like 50-50 between playing wing and playing like a right or back defense. But regardless, I still had a lot of experience playing wing as well. And so it was just kind of disappointing that I just never got that chance. And so Jacob and I just kind of sat on the bench. Well, it wasn't a bench. It was like a little tent. We had like a little prop up tent with some like foldable chairs and stuff. And then we lost. And then I remember, like, didn't Lodine like kind of give you like a not aggressive hug? Let's just say passionate one, to, in nice
Well, I mean,
terms.
he did for
After,
everybody. I think he gave everybody a pretty big hug.
yeah. No, that was such a tough. That was a really tough day.
Yeah, the bus ride back home was like brutal.
Yeah, I, yeah, I didn't like that at all. I mean, they were still. I mean, the coach was still like praising us and nice to us, which like I'm not even mad at that team at all. I'm not mad at them at all. I actually do kind of respect them more now that we actually got to play against them. But it's just I don't know why. I don't understand how the ref can make a decision like that. Once a person like admits to something being like, "Hey, it was my fault. Don't blame them." I mean, usually that never happens. Like if you watch NBA, you know, and like one player like fouls another player, both of them are going to be pointing fingers at each other and be like, "No, this guy did it," or "No, this guy did it." This guy pointed at himself,
Yep.
saying he was the one who got hurt,
Yep.
and he still didn't follow through with that.
Yep.
And
Yeah, well, that
and you
was
know,
the soccer season. That was like the big bummer of it, I guess, because we just got totally screwed
mhm,
over by the refs, and everybody was pretty upset. But I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
that was pretty pretty bad.
anyway,
Some of the kids were crying too at like
it was,
as
yeah.
well.
I
I
mean, I don't think
wasn't,
any of the
but
seniors were, but some of the younger
yeah,
kids were, and I was thinking to myself, like, bruh, you still have like years. I should be the one crying because
yeah,
it's my last year. I
yeah.
should be upset.
I should be devastated because, I mean, there are like so many things that screwed us over. We didn't get to stay over 2 nights. We lost. We lost. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, you know, we lost
Yep.
technically. From a statistical standpoint, we lost. I didn't get to play that last game, but you know, at least I got to play the first one. And then the pep assembly sucked as well, and we
Yep.
couldn't go to Canada too because you know Canadian government like shut down. Like they said, no one's allowed over there.
Yeah. And the Canada trip's like the best trip for soccer too. For any
Mhm.
sport, soccer Canadian trip is
Yeah,
always considered the best. So it was sad.
for sure. Yeah, that was pretty upsetting for me. But
Anyway, we
at the
should
end of
move
the
on.
day, let me like say one more concluding thing. At the end of the day, there's nothing really anyone can do about it. Um, and you know, we still got better and we still learned a lot. And I think a lot of my personal growth came from that soccer season, for sure. Like I definitely was not the same person compared to when I first started that season and when the season ended. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts for soccer before we talk about basketball?
The overall season was fun. but state kind of
Yep.
killed it.
Yeah. It was definitely my best. It was my most fun experience. I know for you, it was your junior year one because like COVID wasn't a big problem or anything.
Yeah.
You guys won state as well.
Yeah.
So you definitely had a better year junior year, but my senior year was like the best one. So now let's move on to basketball. Or no, let's talk about the COVID stuff first.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about basketball. So this isn't going to be like another half-hour section. This is going to be a little shorter. So basically, there was the whole contact tracing thing. Everyone was like wearing masks. They put mask mandates everywhere. They put social distance mandates everywhere. Here's the issue with all of that. There is no evidence, and back then, there was no evidence back then, and still to this day, no evidence that cloth masks actually work. And they knew this.
Masks.
And so what do they?
Masks work to protect the person wearing them, but it doesn't protect the person.
They just there's no statistical evidence that
you're still breathing in and
mandates
out, so
work.
it's not like
exactly.
It just makes it harder
Like,
for it to happen. Basically,
mm-hmm.
They do a little bit,
like,
but it's not that much.
And there's literal statistics. I mean, you can search them up online that mandates for masks and vaccines and stuff like that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. I don't know why they were like. I don't know why a private school of all places was just being so like mask Nazi-ish.
Well, because it was regulated by the government, and the Montana government was pushing it too, because we still had our old governor.
We didn't have a good governor at the time too. We didn't have our good old friend Gianforte to come in clutch with that, removing that mask mandate, until the second half of the year. But yeah, for the first half of the year, and I think it was like November and December, a giant COVID wave hit. I never got it though, because I am naturally immune. And my immunity system is like, it was basically like a Requise level, like Chadius Maximus kind of thing. Like it was not, I was never going to get COVID. I sat next to Josiah at Jacob's house playing on his Xbox. Josiah had COVID at the time. I'm literally 2 inches away from him, and I never got it. Why? Because I have natural immunity. And for some reason, the government doesn't believe in that.
It's because you're young and you have a good immune system, and COVID can't break through a good immune system. The only time COVID is lethal is when you have a bad immune system. Or if you have an allergic reaction to COVID, and then you get COVID, and then your body overreacts and fills your lungs up with fluid, and then you choke. Or have ammonia. And so that's COVID.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, still, and there was only one good thing that came out of the giant COVID wave, is some of the substitute teachers were kind of funny, because I mean they pulled out substitute teachers from like under a rock, from what it felt like. There was this one, who was the one that we got for Mrs. Henderson for our math class?
The Vietnamese lady.
Yeah, so when she was calling out people's name and she said my name, she said Carlos.
Yeah.
Which is actually funny because people would call me that as a joke, but she legitimately thought that was my name. And then Caleb, walks in. Do you remember what she said to him?
Ooh, Mr. Handsome.
That had to be the highlight of the COVID wave. But then after Christmas break, COVID was like pretty much non-existent anymore, and we went back to like normal school basically. There was no distancing worries or anything. It was all normal again. Thank God. So, I mean, at least we got the second half of the year, which is like the most important half, At least we're not like the class of 2020 when like the first half was good and then the second half was like really, really bad.
Yeah, it sucked for them because they had to do everything online, which was trash.
Yeah. And they didn't, and like all the trips got canceled too, for sure.
Yeah.
And so now, that being said, let's talk about basketball. And I kind of want you to start us off because I feel like I've talked way too much already. So.
All right. So
take it away.
Basketball started. He had a meeting with all the seniors, and he's like, "So, we're gonna have too many people on the team this year, so a few of you guys aren't gonna be able to play." And I was thinking to myself, like, why would you cut a senior from the team? Why wouldn't you cut like a freshman or something? But anyway, I was thinking, oh, it's not gonna be me, whatever, blah blah blah. And then we get to, and for background, Stillwater doesn't cut anybody. Like, the school doesn't cut
Well, they
anybody.
don't cut. Yeah.
Because it's, like, that's literally part of their program. Is nobody gets cut, everybody plays.
Andy kind of found a loophole around that, which I will expose, like, after you're done saying what you're about to say.
I think that because he told us that somebody, or a few of us were going to be cut before the season even started, before practice was even going, I think he already had it in his mind. He already had it in his mind to cut me and you, I'm pretty sure. Because he was, like, looking right at me when he said it, and I was like, oh, that's just coincidence, he was looking at me, but whatever.
He was looking at me, too.
Yep.
I saw him, like, look at me and you. I was thinking, oh my god, he just brought in the whole group just to cover himself. And so, a couple days after the tryouts, now, I think I did okay during the tryouts. Like, I at least did good to be I did good enough to be like a JV starter.
Yeah.
And like and in terms of my conditioning was like through the roof. I mean, I made all of my suicides and all of my Sweet 16s, and I did pretty decent on the push-ups. I didn't make 100, but I was pretty close. And so then the third day, he calls me and you into his office, and the first thing he says is, so I don't cut people. I'm not gonna cut you guys. I don't feel good doing that. Well, look, there's a difference between not cutting someone out of the program, the entire program, and cutting them off a team. Like, would you agree with that?
I just didn't like how he cut us before our, like, our play tryout, I guess. Our gameplay tryout.
Our third tryout, because there's 3 of them. He cut us after the second one.
Yeah, so the first one was, like, skills, and the second one was conditioning, and then the third one was, like, actual, we're gonna play, And so he cut us before he even got to see us play. So it was, I don't know, I was pretty upset about that one. And I played good during the tryout, too. I thought I was doing great. But I could have been, like, a bench varsity player / starter JV guy. I could have been that year. Like, I wasn't good, but I was good enough, I thought. But anyway, so yeah, he cut us. Well, didn't cut us. He specifically told me that I would contribute better to the team if I was just a manager and not a player. So he basically just told me that.
Which is not true, by the way. That's not true.
Because we had so many managers too. It was ridiculous. We had like
I want to talk about that later. But let's get more into like the whole team thing. So do you remember what we were talking about? He still let us practice that third day, but like even then, depending on how good we would have done or how bad we would have done, that wasn't going to change anything at all.
Yep.
And so we were talking, and we were both saying like, maybe we should just be JV players and then manage varsity. Like, isn't that kind of the plan we made?
Yeah, we both decided that. I'd be okay with playing JV as long as I get to play. I just want to play. That's all I wanted. I didn't care what team I was on.
We literally thought that was such a good big brain idea. That way we're not like hoarding the varsity bench, but like we're contributing to like JV.
Yep.
But like, what happened again after he talked to us about the day after about like being on JV?
Well, we went up to him and we talked to him about it. He's like, "That's not going to work out." And I was like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Because we have too many players." And I said, "Well, why would you get rid of a senior instead of like a younger player?" And he's like, "Well, I see more potential in them than I do in you because they have more time." So basically, he just thought like we were hopelessly terrible at basketball, and that we.
Mm-hmm.
I don't under. Okay, every single year of my basketball career, all 4 years, I was on C squad. Even my senior year, when he said I was going to be a manager, he still had me jump in practices for C squad. So I was basically just a C squad player every 4 years. And
Yeah.
I don't think I'm that bad, am I? I mean, I'm not so
No.
bad that I'm
I
not
mean,
even
like,
worthy.
we were like, when he had us practicing with C, we would destroy them, dude. Like, remember
Yeah, he
when
would
we
do
were doing
2v3s with us against the C
yeah,
squad.
we did. So usually you have people alternate for the defense. And me and you were the only defenders,
Yep. All
and
time
we
defense.
nailed them, and we crushed it. I mean, we did so good. So it's like, why are we at least not JV starters? But the thing is, what he did, the reason he said that, there's no more slots is because he automatically promoted all the C squad, like freshmen and like just all the people who should have been straight C up to JV as well, instead
Yeah.
of just having some of them being straight C and some of them be C JV swingers, and then us two being like JV starters. But because the thing that made me mad was, back in the day, like literally the year before, you had to like actually kind of work, like do some
Well,
kind of work
I was never
to
full
get your
time.
JV spot.
I was never full time JV, and I was my junior and sophomore year. I was way better than the freshmen. Coming in my senior year, I mean, not gonna lie, the freshmen from our senior year, like last year's freshmen, they were trash. They were so bad. And then, like, I was better as a freshman than they were. I don't know if I'm just like I keep telling myself that I should have been on it, but I'm just not sure if I was like if I'm just being like overconfident in my abilities. But
Well,
when we did
no,
when when we did intramurals, I was killing it in intramurals. I was like, and then Andy was impressed. He's like, "Well, Mike, I've never seen you play this good before." I'm like, "Yeah, because you never gave
yeah,
me a
because you
chance
never
this
gave
year."
him the chance to go play that good before. So, good job,
Good job,
good
Andy.
job there, good job.
You're so good.
So, and I remember too, we were also like in way better shape than them too, because a lot of them didn't play soccer, and so we were in super good shape at the time.
Yeah.
And we would do like down and backs, and me and you were like way ahead of them. We would
Well,
crush it, and we would do such a good job with like doing conditioning with them too, because we
Yeah.
never got to do conditioning with the varsity. And I feel like, I mean, doing conditioning with the varsity, that would have like made me want to work more, but obviously that didn't happen.
I was
And
like,
even then, like, I really proved myself to Falk how much I improved when I ran my Sweet 16. One of the Sweet 16s I ran in 57 seconds.
"Yep,
Let me provide a little context. When I was a sophomore, I struggled to make 1 minute and 30 seconds. I would usually make it right before that clock hit 30. Sometimes I would make it when it hit 31. 2 years later, I hit less than a minute. And before, I mean, that was like crazy to me. And Coach Falk was like majorly impressed about that. And so it just felt like I was wasting all of the like physical shape that I had, just put to waste. All that work I put in with soccer only came in use for some soccer games, and then after that was put into waste.
yeah." Well, it would have been both of our best seasons for basketball because we both, you work up for varsity all 4 years until the last year, and then that's gonna be your best year obviously because you played. But I just felt like I just got like I was excited for the basketball season because I was actually playing well, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually gonna do good this season, blah blah blah. But then I don't know what happened. It was just well, I do know what happened, but it was just so disappointing that I didn't even get an opportunity to even play. And then the one time that Andy did see me play during intramurals, he's like, "Wow, you're so good, Mike." And it's like, ugh. I don't know. It just
Hmm.
made me more upset, I guess, to hear him
Yeah,
say that I
that
was playing
was
good enough to impress him, but I could have been doing that the
that
entire senior year.
that was pretty disappointing. I mean, I remember I was actually like legitimately like still mad, like seriously mad about it until like the season ended. And then like to this day, I'm still just disappointed about it. I'm not super angry about it. It's just like this could have been handled so much better. And yet it was handled this way. Like literally all what we wanted, like we weren't even asking to play varsity. All what we wanted was to start be like full-time JV and full-time varsity managers. And we couldn't be either of those for most of the time.
I just wanted to
And
play.
speaking of the managers, why did we have like 30 managers this year?
We had like 6, and me and you were like the only ones that did anything. I guess Mason did. Mason did quite a
Mason
bit.
Mason went to some of the games. He just didn't go to any of the practices, but like I wanted to show up to the practices just to show Andy that I cared, and like I wanted to be
Yeah.
there
Well, because
and stuff. And same with you. And the thing was like they still we were still like getting thrown under the bus as this was happening. Like
well
we
because
didn't.
when he told us that we weren't going to be on varsity and that we were going to be managers, he was like dangling a carrot in front of our heads and like, but you might still be able to play on varsity because COVID, people get sick and blah blah blah.
You ever
So
see pictures of like an evil guy having strings attached to his fingers, like controlling like two puppets? That's to literally what I think of.
yeah,
And here's why I think this way. Around the start of the season, when we were going on our first trip, I talked to Andy saying that I was just trying to tell him how I felt about the whole thing, and I was, it was more than just I don't think this will work. I actually gave some pretty good solutions and like compromises as to what the best thing is. And I told him that like, look, this ever since like this whole like manager thing, I just been kind of losing my passion for this, for just like wanting to play like for C again because I've already done it the past like couple times, and I think this would be a better idea. You want to know exactly what he said to me?
mm,
He said, "This Carlos, this isn't worth my time or yours." I mean, first of all, I get to decide what's worth my time. All right, you don't get to decide crap about what my time is worth. All right. Second of all, I mean I thought you were proclaiming yourself to be like this great leader and all around, and yet you're gonna say that. And the funny thing is, like, he said, like, I feel like him when he's not surrounded by people who look up to him, like that's when I like kind of saw the kind of person he was once he loses faith in someone. It was like, oh, okay, so this is how it is for the rest of
yeah.
the season.
Well,
And we even like started joking about this. I mean, he was just the puppet master, controlling his two little puppets to do
yeah,
whatever he wanted.
we
No
were Andy's
questions
slave,
asked.
basically.
Otherwise,
But
and here's the thing. No, before you say this, he the last thing he said was, "If you don't do this, Carlos, this will be done." And he was like pointing at me and you. He's like, "This is over." Now, what else? I mean, what do you think that could possibly mean besides I get kicked out of the program? Because I mean, at this point, he already kicked me off the team, and so the next worst thing he could do is like kick me off the program. Like, was that something he was actually considering to do? Just because I was trying to like have a conversation with the guy and like trying to reason with him, and
well,
I was like trying to be respectful and everything, and then he just, I don't know.
Andy, he's a great guy, and I respect him, but they gave him too much power that he wasn't ready for because he was head coach and athletic director. So he had nobody to like tell him, "No, you can't do that." So like, he didn't have Mr. Pond saying like, "Hey yo, let these guys play," or something like that, because he
I was thinking
was
that
the
same
athletic
thing.
director. I just think that he wasn't at this point in his life. He's not um ready for that type of. I was gonna say mature, but I don't know. But he's just not ready for that
He
type
wasn't
of
ready for that responsibility.
for that responsibility.
That's what it was.
Because his decisions, he has nobody to like say no, so he's basically just like King Andy making decisions in the
Mhm.
athletic department because nobody can tell him that he's wrong. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Exactly, because there's like no one who can do it. Like even like the principal like can't really do anything about that. And so anyway, and so like we even started joking about it, like what would you like us to do, slave master Andy? Like hello, like we are your loyal slaves to do whatever. Cause it I don't know what. I literally just don't know why he thought any of that was a good idea. Clearly wasn't. Like our original idea, full time JV, full time varsity managing, that would have been perfect. And then you just have the other managers who were never there, who like never show up to anything, just be like C squad and like be C squad managers or JV managers.
well, we were
And
full-time varsity
also,
managers anyways with them there, so it would have been
yeah,
fine. So
and the thing is, we couldn't even go on all the trips because Andy always wanted to split who could go on the trips, and because of COVID and like bus capacity, like you couldn't go on one of the trips and I couldn't go on one of the trips. I'm like, what the crap, dude?
yeah,
Like we're literally there every single day, regardless if we were players or managers. We were still there. Like we wanted to be there, and yet we couldn't even we don't even like get any of the benefits of that either. So
yeah.
that happened. And I will say not all of it. I say like 80% of it was kind of a misery, but then a good 20% of it was actually kind of fun.
Well, they let us play for
Because
like a quarter in one JV game at the end of the year,
mhm.
which
Well,
that was good.
I think we played more than a quarter. I mean, that final game was good. Schaubeck was like, "Good job, Carlos," that kind of thing. And he was
Yeah.
even joking with you, which I mean, he never really jokes around with either. But he's like, "Haha, Micah, you're out of shape a little bit," and
Well,
I'm like,
because
"Well, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, because."
I haven't, I don't know any of the plays. I haven't practiced in like 3 months, and I haven't done any
Mhm.
conditioning since soccer season, which ended in like October. So like, yeah, I'm out of shape. I didn't know what the crap I was doing out there because I didn't know any of the plays. They just threw me out there, and I still did pretty good, I thought. So yeah,
Yeah, I thought you did pretty good too.
yeah,
So
you did
yeah,
pretty
then
good.
that happened. Um, I guess the only fun part was like what was just being up in the crow's nest, just taking stats and stuff and cheering for the players. Like that was pretty much the only good thing that happened. That and like some of the trips, at least
Yeah,
the ones we got to go on. And
state
I'm
was
not
kind
gonna
of a
say
bummer
her
though.
name, but there was this other senior manager. It wasn't Mason, but she like never showed up to anything.
Oh yeah,
Like no game, like very few games, no practices, and yet she got to go on one of the trips and not me. And like even Mason was like, Carlos, how do you feel about that? And I told him, I want to die. That's literally what I told him.
yeah.
And so then state happened. We got third place.
State was
Yada
so
yada yada.
disappointing because like
Mhm.
we were supposed to, because Stillwater doesn't host basketball states, so we were supposed to
Well,
go
this
to.
year the reason we hosted this year is because like we were like the biggest school out of all of them, and we were able to like get the most people in the bleachers. But
Yeah, it
yeah.
was because Kalispell didn't have any COVID restrictions, and so we could
Yes,
have a full
sir.
capacity gym. And so, like, we couldn't go to Missoula like we usually do, or we couldn't go to Helena like we do sometimes as well, because they were like, so yeah, we had to just not.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we're kind of like near the end of like our basketball discussion because, but I
Yeah,
will say, I'm gonna just say a list. I'm gonna just list all the good stuff that was happening. One, the trips were fun, at least the ones we went on. Two, it kind of felt good to kind of show off in front of the C squad players as much as like we didn't want to be there. Like it felt good to like just kind of
Destroy
show
some
off our
kids.
like
I mean, they were
conditioning
literally
skills.
freshmen, and they had us, two seniors, who have played for
Mm-hmm.
4 years, play against them.
And the
So
and
yeah,
the
we were gonna destroy
and
them.
all of
Obviously.
them are like really short too, except for like Micah Stutzman. Micah Stutzman's still a giant, along with Coben. Coben was still pretty tall too.
Cohen was tall. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so like that was another good thing. That was the second good thing. I say the third good thing was probably during state. You know, they had food out in the weight room,
Oh
so we
yeah.
could just leave, grab something to eat, like a muffin
Yeah.
or something.
They gave us a crap ton of
Um,
food.
Yeah, that was another good thing. And then the fourth thing was probably just I'm trying to think of a fourth one. Probably just when we would like kind of joke around and like in the half times
Practices were
and
pretty
stuff.
fun.
Now, I will say but there was a couple funny things that actually happened. And the reason I want to list all this good stuff at the end is because I don't want people to think that we are like trying to trash on the basketball program or like Andy or whatever. Like,
No.
we're not doing that. We're just like, I think our criticisms are pretty fair, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I have nothing against Andy. I think he's a great
yeah,
guy.
I
It's
mean,
just
I don't have any grudges with him right now. I mean, I don't really talk to him anymore because we graduated, but still, I mean, like obviously, and he's still like a good Christian man at the end of the day. So that's kind of
Yeah.
all that matters at
It's
the end
just
of the day.
the way he
It's
handled
just that our situation was kind of screwed over.
the whole thing. The way he handled it was just not the best way, I would say. So yeah. Anyway, that's
The
for basketball,
tripod.
I guess.
No, we're not done with basketball. We gotta talk about two more things. The tripod. You want to explain?
Oh.
You want to explain to them the tripod situation and that whole day in general?
Okay, so we're managing a game. Me, Carlos, and Mason, and we're up there in the crow's nest. And we're like, we're recording and doing sound and all that. And it starts out with because Andy had this specific playlist that he wanted us to play, but it was trash playlist. So I was like, why don't I play some good songs, huh?
Well,
So
we didn't do that until after the tripod fell down. Actually,
No, I thought it was at the same time, because at the beginning of the game I started doing it, and then we dropped the tripod right before halftime, and then after halftime he told me to stop playing music.
so
Anyway, so I was
the
playing
thing about
bangers.
and then Andy told you to play what's on the playlist, pretty much. He's like,
Well, I
play
was
what's on
playing
the
like
playlist. Monsters Inc. and like Staying Alive by the
Staying Alive.
Bees
and people were getting hype. I mean, like hype.
Over,
Anyway, so
over Monsters Inc. I don't know about that, man.
okay, not over Monsters Inc. But that was just one song out of like 6 or 7 that I played anyway. But it was like right before halftime, and Mason was having trouble with the tripod because it was a trash tripod. It was meant for a phone.
And it was supposed to hold like this 11-pound iPad too.
Yeah, and we stuffed
like,
an
this really
iPad on
old
it.
iPad.
And then he was having trouble like controlling it, so he's like, Micah, can you? And he wanted me to like adjust the tripod or something. And he was holding on to the iPad, and I thought that he was holding onto the tripod too. And we're on the crow's nest, so we're like high up, and we're right above the home team bench, so we're right above our own guys. And so I push on the tripod to try to adjust it, and it falls over the ledge and almost hits Coach Skip in the head. And then
We were scared. Like
We were
I
all
still
scared
remember
and ducked
me,
down and-
you, and Mason were all lined up. Our heads were tucked down, and our hands were just in our faces in absolute disbelief. And we were just still tucking down more and more. And what I did was I took that little blue chair that we call the timeout chair, and I like tried to barricade the door with it so that Skip doesn't like walk up over, kick the door down, and like grab us by the throat and chuck us off the crow's nest.
But we were
And
like, um,
that was
yeah,
so
we were
bad.
sitting there like, ooh. And then it was halftime, like right after that. And then Coach Strawback like walks out to the middle of the gym and like yells at us for a little bit. He's like, "Hey, don't let that happen again." And then
That
Andy
was close to
picks up the
hitting some
tripod.
heads. And he holds it like a dead child.
Yeah, he
he,
he picks it up like, "Ooh." It was funny.
and a
Um,
little piece broke off of it and just got shot into the middle of the core. Did you see that?
yeah, I saw that. It's all on video
That
still, I
was
think. It's on the basketball YouTube
yeah.
channel, I
So
still think. So.
on the iPad, we would like rewind the moment when the tripod just fell off the crow's nest, and you can hear us go no. It was
No,
like,
it's so funny. But anyway, so
and
I
then
think some of the parents saw it too, because I heard some like from some moms, I
Jacob's
think.
mom. I saw Jacob's mom watch it. That was kind of funny. But then, so that was strike one. Okay,
That was
strike
strike
two
one.
is the mute.
The music.
Was the music? You
After
weren't playing
halftime,
like the right
during
music.
halftime, I was playing "Life Is a Highway," and then
That's a good song.
I know, and then Andy, he's like, he looks up at the crow's nest. He's like, "Hey, play what's on the playlist, please." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I had to turn it off and play some Christian rap, which is trash.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then after strike two, I asked you, hey, you want to switch me so that because you're
No,
probably like really depressed after what happened.
no,
You're like, no, I'm fine. And then strike three happens when you were playing music, and
I wasn't focused.
Andy, yeah, you weren't focused, and Mason was kind of distracting you, but not fully.
Oh, cause
And
he's like,
the
get on my
music was
phone and do
playing
this and that.
during the
So
free throws. This one guy was shooting free throws as the music was playing, and Andy's like, music, 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 and then you were like, like struggling to get your fingers on the iPod and hit the pause button, and so you were like, Carlos, can we switch? I'm like, yeah, I don't know why we didn't switch earlier, but sure.
well, cause I
And so that happened. So that was strike
that
three,
was strike three.
and we thought, and so after the game was over, we were like, you and Mason were like, I don't want to be the first one going down there. And I was like, okay, you know what? I actually didn't do anything. I just watched the whole thing happen. And so
Yeah.
I thought I'm brave enough to go down there. And we still haven't given Andy the stats yet for like the
Or the
shots and stuff.
iPad. We had to give him the iPad back.
No, we had to give him the iPad back. And so we walked down out of the crow's nest. There's no one around. Like there wasn't. We thought Skip was gonna pop out of the corner and like grab us by the throat, but that didn't happen. And so we're in the middle of the hallway. We're slowly walking up to Andy, all scared looking. And you want to know what Andy says to us? He
Hmm.
goes, "Good job, guys." And I'm like, "What?" Okay, he's clearly just being nice, just for the sake
Well, I
of
think they
being
lost
nice
the
right
game, so
now.
he was like, he was upset that they lost the game.
Yeah, we did. Oh yeah, cause like it was a timeout, and you're playing Monsters Inc. music, and so as Andy's like, we gotta hustle, come on guys, you hear the.
Oh, it's so good. That's such a good song.
I know this. It was kind of funny, but I told you, Micah, this is a horrible idea. Don't do this, and obviously you still did it, and
The
we're
parents
still
were so
alive, so.
confused. Oh, it was so good. And Andy's just
Yeah.
yelling with Monsters Inc. in the background, and it's like, oh, yeah. It was so funny.
It would have been more funny if we put like some kind of Spanish guitar music in the background as like Skip was yelling at them.
Yeah.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. What else happened? Oh, yeah, so me and Mason went to return the iPad, and we handed it to him. He's like, oh, thanks. And then that was it. I was like, oh, I thought he was going to say something about how we were trash.
And now, yeah, he was
Yeah.
he was definitely thinking it. I mean, if I were the head coach, I'd probably think that too. I'd be like, what are these guys doing? And so, the next thing is the last thing I want to mention about the basketball season. This one won't be as long as the conversation is the broom, the giant broom.
Oh, yeah.
So, Andy asked me to sweep, and I was like, okay. And so I start sweeping. I'm doing my own thing. Dominic no, Ryan slightly pushes Dominic, and Dominic like overacts it and over exaggerates it, and then legitimately hits Legend, and then Legend, like his foot lands on the mop, and I can't move it because it's a giant mop, for the basketball gym,
Yeah.
and he falls on the broomstick, and it breaks.
Yep.
It
Yep.
literally breaks, and then Andy walks right out because like he heard everyone laughing, and I'm holding the stick in my hand, and I just put it down right next to Ledge. I'm like, nope, that was him. That was totally him. And
Yeah.
then I feel like, and for the rest of that year, there was still a giant debate on whether if it was Dominic's fault or Ryan's fault. I'm not gonna choose sides right now, but
Andy wanted
so
to
that
have
happened.
a new broom, and he wanted Dom and Ryan to split the cost buying a
Yeah,
new broom.
as they were doing like warm ups, he goes, "Hey, I have a couple turkeys looking to buy me a new broom."
Yeah.
But that didn't end up happening. What ended up happening is someone like taped it, like he used
I
like
think
white
Andy
tape.
taped it back together. But yeah.
Yep.
And
But
then
that was
they're
funny
like,
'cause
look up the security
he told
footage,
me-
coach, and see whose fault it was. But then somehow the security footage got like something happened to
It's
it.
like it's like someone rigged it's like some either Dom or Ryan like rigged the
No.
security camera footage right
I
after
think-
it happened.
I think what happened is the security footage would have showed that it was an accident. So then Andy would have had to have the school pay for a new broom, but he wanted them to pay for a new broom, so he didn't.
He
want
wouldn't
to
want to.
look at the security footage.
Do you really think Andy would want to explain to like the people ahead of him? Yeah. So my
Some
players
turkeys broke a
it.
broom.
And the thing is, when he walked out, like he told me when he first saw us, he thought I was the one that broke it because like I was holding the broken piece in my hand.
Yeah.
But then, even then, we still held on to that broken piece for the rest of practice, and like you were being kind of annoying to me as you usually like to be sometimes, and I'm like threatening to stab you with it, and we're like threatening to stab Daniel with it too. Like, hey, if any of these people give us a hard time, we just stab them with, because it was a sharp,
shank.
pointy like piece now. So yeah, that was the basketball season.
Yep.
We've already stated how it was about that. It wasn't, not all of it was bad. There were some good memories, but the
It was just
majority of it was kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the actual classes now. Yay! So, which one do you want to start with? Because I feel like I only want to talk about maybe one class, and that being Tinkum's class, because, I mean, first of all, this podcast is going on kind of long, and second of all,
Yeah.
the other classes were basically the same as they always were. You know, math is math, English is English.
Mr.
But
Rourke
Tinkum's
is
class was-
Mr. Rourke.
Yeah. Except we just learned about government and economics instead of like World War I, World War II, that kind of stuff.
I loved Mr. Rourke's class every year. It was always good.
Well, not every year. I mean, the Bible stuff, like Mr. Rourke didn't really try.
Yeah, but it was still
that
like
hard with it.
fun just because it was Mr. Rourke. So, yeah.
We would have movie clip Fridays.
Yeah.
We would watch like scenes from Napoleon Dynamite, like the dance scene or the Rex Kwon Do scene or something like that.
Those were great.
Those were super fun. Okay, but then, so for Tinkum's class, there were mainly three themes that were going on. The first theme was like his more typical class, except it was like 2 class periods long, and so it was definitely tough to try to get through those every day.
It was like a 2-hour
But
class.
and then the second thing, I don't really want to talk about that first thing. The second and third thing I want to talk about is the Harknesses and the thesis assignment. So starting with the Harknesses, so like obviously everyone who goes to that school knows what a Harkness is, but those who don't go to that school knows it's basically a conversation between the students to talk about some kind of topic, whether it be like something biblical, something related to the cosmos, or something governmental related, or something related to our society.
It's basically
or
just
the
speech and debate.
media. And basically one thing I think there are some days where I did good, like I was actually leading the conversation quite a few times. And then
Uh-huh.
there were other days, like there was like a whole week of Harknesses where it was me, you, Legend Jacob, and Josiah as like the only guys.
Oh
And like
yeah, dream team.
and so so what happened was like we'd be like, okay, let's ask a question, and then one person answered the question, and then it was just silent for 5 whole minutes,
Oh,
just dead
so good.
silent. And so that was when I was like, okay, time to step it up. And then this other like girl in our class, like I won't say her name, but she was constantly like, all right, Jacob, you should get like 5 comments today. Micah, you should get like 6 comments today.
Yeah, she's
And
trying
I'm
to
like,
hype us up, but it was just really annoying.
yeah, but yeah, it was just annoying.
And I
And she
was
didn't need to
like,
hype me up because I was already like semi-leading the conversations as well. But sometimes that had a really negative impact on me because sometimes I'd say some stuff that's not necessarily stupid, but just unnecessarily funny.
yeah,
Like, and here's the example I'll name. So there was a cathedral, and we had to talk about what do you guys think about the cathedral, like this old cathedral, and you said that you think it looks sharp and pointy,
it
and
was
you
very
would not
pointy.
want to get impaled by it.
If I was falling out of the sky, I would not want to land on that cathedral, is what I said.
Like Saruman from Lord of the Rings when he got stabbed in the back and then just fell down on
Yeah.
that pointy object.
Yeah.
That would not go well. I said that it looked like a location that a horror movie would use. And everyone just started laughing.
Well, because you said it looked like this creepy church that you went to when you were younger or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Because I go to this church, and I know churches are like holy and stuff, but when the lights are off and every tiny little noise is echoing throughout the hallways, and you're by yourself, it can be kind of, like, not the most comforting thing, to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Mr. Tinkham was like laughing
Mr.
at me a
Tingle was
lot.
dying after he heard our descriptions of it because they were so stupid. Most people were like, the architect is so elegant in the way that the arches are blah blah blah, and we were just like,
And then you
it's
and then
pointy.
you dropped the bar by saying it's pointy and I hate to get impaled. And then I brought it even down further by saying that it was scary.
Yeah, I was like, it's pointy, and
And
then
for
you
the
were like,
rest of
"It
the year,
scares me."
you guys like still made fun of me about that for saying that it was scary.
Great time.
Yeah, that was pretty great. And then the next project, thesis.
Thesis.
Oh boy. No. So, here's the thing. The guys in our class, we
Mhm.
always do things either the day before
Mhm.
or the day of.
Mhm.
We couldn't do that with thesis
No.
this time.
No, I actually.
We had
tried
to read,
on
like-
thesis.
Yeah, I actually tried on thesis too, and I actually did pretty decent, I'd say. My paper wasn't the best, but my presentation was actually pretty good. And I was
Yeah.
able to maintain composure and stuff. And actually, because of thesis, I now know all what you gotta do to win any argument is just point out the facts first, and then kind of leave it at that. And then just further support the facts through other facts
Yeah,
as well.
well, you
Like
say
it's not as hard as I thought it was. Just
you say what you think, and then you just go ham on the facts and like
Mhm.
this is why, and then no one's
Exactly.
gonna argue with that. Well, they still
So just like
do, but
gun control and stuff like that.
yeah,
And here's the thing, like I still can't believe that we actually did it to this day. Like the guys in our class, like
nobody failed.
I thought we were gonna fail. Like freshman year, I knew there was a thesis. I legit thought all of us were gonna fail.
I remember seeing
But
Seth work on it when I was a freshman. He was a senior, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks hard." And he's like, "Yeah, it sucks." And he was like working on it for like a solid week, and then
mhm.
I was thinking to myself like, "Bro, I can't even do like a 5-minute speech. How am I gonna be able to do a 20-minute speech?" So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, someone else did the 5-minute speech, but we'll talk about that in a sec later.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we did. But at the end of the day, we did it. You know, we all passed, and we
Yep.
all got to go on our senior trip.
Yep.
Now, the thing about this is, before we talk about senior trip and stuff, we had to do like 17-minute presentations.
Yep.
And apparently, you could do like a 2-minute speech and only get 5 points taken off total. Which is stupid because like people would get docked like 2 points or like 1.5 points for being like 2 seconds off. And so when you're like mega under time, for example, like 7 minutes, why should you be allowed to pass when you just took that easy way out when everyone else actually worked hard?
Well, the whole point of the thesis isn't to, like, it's not about time. It's about the argument and how you set it up and how well you defend it. So it's not, if you do that all in 7 minutes, then he wants it to be 17 minutes. But if you do it in only 7, then it's like as long as you do a good thing, it's fine.
Based on, well, I mean, I didn't watch this person's thesis, but based on what the entire class told us, and I know you didn't watch it either because neither of us wanted to watch it. We thought this person was gonna fail, because we thought it was like only fair, because in order to make a speech, like as long as it is, you actually have to put in a lot of work, and I feel like if you have like at least a 12-page paper, you should have at least like a 12-minute speech, like at the very least. I feel like as long as you talk at a steady pace, you know, not too fast, like other professional speakers, you should be able to like actually like make some decent time. And I know I did. Like I made I wrote like a 14 like page paper and got like 16 minutes.
I think I got 18 minutes on mine.
Yes, sir. But no, it was just, I was just so salty after she told us about.
Well,
about
she lied.
the grade. Well,
she said she got a better grade than she actually got, but she still did pass. She did pass.
Yeah, I mean, she clearly did because they went. Yeah, I mean, I still have
it was just bad.
Like mega under time, like 7 minutes, which like felt like it just felt like a giant slap in the face to all of us when she still passed, because it's like, well, all of us could have done the same thing, like make a like 7-minute speech and like have an easier time do it and still pass. Like, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't really want to call out the person by name, but if you know, you know. We'll just leave it at that.
The boys know.
Us, yeah. And then we went to a senior trip. Now, most seniors like go to some kind of lake or cabin or something. We got to go to Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, boy. And now here's the thing. One thing almost hindered that trip for us. But we fixed it because originally Mike and I were supposed to drive with this group to the airport.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't really like the group we were driven with.
Oh, yeah.
And so I actually got my mom to pull some strings and like talk to some people.
Yeah.
And we got to go with different people. And it was awesome.
Yep.
And then we got on the plane and we were joking. I was like, guys, I'm about to break the federal law. And I like pulled my mask down for half a second to be like, oh, FBI is going to be knocking on my door. Like, so it was fun to do that, even though our mask mandates were kind of stupid.
Me, Jacob, and Josiah were like, while we were going through security, we were joking about bombs and stuff. We were like, we gotta stop because we're not gonna be able to go on this trip for something stupid like that. So let's just not.
Yo, you just be like, hey, yo, Joe, you got the bomb planted? And then the security guard goes, oh, like.
They made me.
That's horrible, dude.
I brought my PS4, and we're going through the check-in, I think, and they ripped the PS4 out of my bag, do a scan on it to make sure it's not explosive, and then they don't even put the stuff in my bag. They just give me my bag back to me with all the crap out of it. So I'm like, oh. So I gotta stuff it all back in there. I broke the zipper on the bag because it was stuffed so hard. Because I didn't want to. I only wanted to carry on. I didn't want to pay for like extra
Yeah.
baggage, you know. And the
Only
carry-on
one
can only be
person
a certain
got extra
size.
baggage. Only one person got extra baggage.
Yeah.
But their claim was their mom forced them to, which is complete cap, first of
Cap.
all. And
Cap.
and like this one other person in our class wanted me to like watch out for them. Like, what?
Oh yeah.
We're all like grown people. Like, we don't need to
Oh,
watch
she
out.
was just
I don't need to.
joking.
I know, but it's still like, even then, I still like didn't have a lot of respect for that person either, for neither of them. And so I was just getting a little fired up when she was like joking about that even much. But anyway, we did the trip for a few days and it was pretty good actually. However, one other problem kind of came up, and it was just the one. Like, everything else was perfect and kind of funny.
Senior trip was awesome.
And like, we did a Super Smash Bros tournament.
Oh yeah.
And I won.
I
I
thought Blake
won. No, I won. I was Captain Falcon.
Didn't we do another one and
And
Blake
then-
won? I swear Blake won one.
No, Blake came in second place.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
Blake and I were like the
Yeah.
final competitors.
Blake-
I was like, let's go.
Blake
I was
beat-
so happy with.
He beat the OP computer guy we had. That's
Yeah,
what
the
I'm
level 9s. Like, I legit thought that the level 9 CPUs were gonna like take the trophy, but then Blake eliminated both of them,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we won. Which, by the way, speaking of Smash Brothers, Brawl has like the best music. Like the
Yep.
like, have you heard that opening theme?
I'm pretty sure I have.
It's the best thing ever. Anyway, that's kind of a little side tangent from me. And then, like, the mattress, like, so it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and Tinkum and his wife were in another bedroom, and we didn't want to like wake them up by, with the air mattress.
Yeah.
And it'd be loud. It'd be like twice as loud as Legend's jet engine of a PS4. And so we took it outside and aired it up, but I feel like that like nicked a couple little holes in it, and so it would like taco on us.
Yeah,
You know what you would do, Micah? You would constantly like bounce on it, and so as I'm trying to sleep, you're just jumping up and down on the mattress, and I'm just like dirt, and we got in a huge argument about
so
it
good.
over like the next day, and then we switched them with Josiah, and Josiah was like, I don't know why my air mattress is going flat on me.
He didn't
And
realize
he didn't find out until like he didn't find out that, and I told Jacob about it, and even Jacob didn't tell Joe about it, and Josiah didn't find out until we were like driving home from Missoula,
Yeah.
which was so funny. So that happened. We watched the Suns absolutely destroy the Lakers and watched LeBron throw a fit all the time. That was pretty satisfying to watch.
We went to
we watched
a Diamondbacks game.
Yeah, I watched the Diamondbacks game. They lost. And it was
was a good game,
mostly
though.
like, yeah, it was a good game, for a baseball game, because a lot of baseball games can be kind of boring for the majority of the
Well,
time.
yeah, I mean it's baseball, but yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a good experience actually like physically attending there, and there were actually some kids in front of the stands,
Bruh.
like the high stands of us, and the kids asked me, Fortnite or COD, and I'm like, dude, COD. You really think I like Fortnite? Pick
Fortnite
Fortnite
sucks.
over COD?
Fortnite,
Yeah, Fortnite
sucks.
sucks. Fortnite sucks. So
Yep. Of course I'm not doing schoolwork. You think I'm doing schoolwork? Of course I have schoolwork. I always have schoolwork.
You gonna get it done?
Yes, I'll get it done. Thank you.
You happy to do that one?
Yes, I know. Anyways.
come on, okay, come on. What was that? Would you like to explain to our audience what that was? Because I know what it was, but maybe you don't.
My mom came in. She's like, "How's school going?"
Why, you don't have need to clean the fish tank?
Yes. Anyway, my mom came in. She's like, "How's school going?" I was like, "It's going good." And she's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." And then, yeah, that was basically it.
I swear, she goes in your room every time we're talking or playing a game or something. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we gotta, stay in our separate houses. It was like really hot, like 100 degrees, obviously.
Well, yeah,
And then we went to the
Phoenix.
malls. Yeah, it's Phoenix, so obviously, but obviously we weren't used to that. But I remember feeling my skin felt so good when we exited the second airplane, and we were in Missoula again, but in the nice colder
70,
weather.
70-degree weather.
Yeah, it was so nice. And then we went home. And then the next morning we did like graduation rehearsal.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, wow, it's kind of, I haven't really talked about it ever since it happened. But we did that and got like little gifts from like devotion gifts and stuff from the former head of our school, because he actually left. That was like his last year here.
Yeah.
And then we actually did the graduation. Now I gotta say, the graduation, it
was good.
it was good. There were a couple things that kind of like, it didn't like hurt me emotionally,
Yeah.
but I just kind of cringed at him a little bit and just felt like kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like people are gonna listen to this podcast, and just say that I'm like one of those negative people. Like, I'm not. I'm just pointing out. Like, again, this is like the real truth behind everything. No, I'm not gonna be
No
like,
cap.
I graduated, therefore it was the best experience ever. Like, no, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy.
I had to find a way to put that meme in there, but there were. Oh my god.
Uh-huh.
Can you get a lock on your door, please? Okay, anyway, so the first thing that happened was, so obviously our class, like, plays Minecraft and stuff. Like, we started, like, a Minecraft realm. Apparently, and I made, like, a joke about it in my speech, in, like, one of my speeches, and apparently, they all thought I was being, like, dead serious, and, like, took everything personally. Like, so, like, this one girl in our class, one of her speeches, like, she was like, it was like all rhyming, and I thought that was pretty clever, except the little jab that she threw at me was like, Carlos is one of the greatest people of all time, but messing with his Minecraft house was a war crime. I'm like, why, dude? Like, that's so cringe. Like, come on, you gotta admit, you kind of cringed too when you heard that. You gotta admit, you.
That was great.
No,
Have you got on the new Minecraft
then-
realm yet? We just made.
No, I'm finished,
Get on-
man. I stopped
get on
playing
the
the
realm.
game after I quit
Get
that
on the
realm.
realm.
Ugh, gosh, stop deep frying your mic, all right?
Get
Anyway,
on
and then it happened
realm.
not once but twice.
Yep.
Okay, literally 2 times, and that was when, like, Josiah, like, so all the seniors have to, like, prepare, like, a little sentence, like, this person is great and all that, and this
Yep.
other fact. Mine was like, Carlos is this lovable, like, funny guy, and so far I'm like, yep, all true stuff.
No cap.
And then out of I hear Josiah mutter the M, and I'm like, no, you better not. And then I hear mine, and I'm like, crap. And then he says, who you don't want to mess with his Minecraft house. I'm like, damn Dang it, dude. Why? Not once, but twice. You throw that little Minecraft jab at me. And now, you know what I'm going to be remembered as? That one Minecraft kid. Like, you know that meme with the angry Sonic kid who has, like, a high-pitched voice and he's screaming all the time and stuff? Like, you know that kid? That I'm basically that kid now, but, like, Minecraft.
You should get on the new realm.
No.
Come on.
Well, maybe. Okay.
Come on.
Before I talk about the second thing, I'll get on the realm, but like I won't involve myself with anyone. I won't tell anybody where I am. I'm gonna move out far, far away. I'm gonna run so far away, no one can see me.
That's fine.
That's only if I played on the realm, which I don't.
Everyone that's on right now is staying on the central island.
Yeah, and I ain't doing that. You really think I want to do that? Because like everyone, still to this day, like likes to get a reaction out of me, but that's whatever. Anyway, and then the second thing that really like, I wasn't like majorly offended by, but I was just so sad about and disappointed, was when Mr. Marsh was like you know how like if you did this, stand up. If you did that, stand up. And I never got to stand up for anything. The first thing, like, I knew I wasn't going to get was the sports thing, because it was, like, you had to play in, like, 2 or more sports for all 4 years. The problem is, like, my freshman year, no one encouraged me, like, into playing any sports whatsoever. And so that really backfired on me.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, I never got that. But then the other thing I never got was, like, he was like, if you're the youngest sibling, stand up, and being like, hey, yo, parents, this is your last kid graduating. I thought he was going to do the same thing for the oldest kid. And I feel like it would have been kind of fair if he did. I mean, as someone who's like the oldest child, you know, I have to like set an example for my 2 siblings, Ashton and Levi. And be like, I thought he was going to be, I just wanted him to be like, I kind of expected him to be like, the older siblings, stand up. You're all the younger siblings, this is what you will get when you graduate Stillwater or something like that. But I never got that. And I was like, I mean, I guess I can understand why they didn't do it. But at the same time, I just wanted some kind of recognition besides the Minecraft BS, because that was literally the only ever recognition I got.
Yep. And
it was stupid. But what I'm hoping for is when my little brother Levi graduates, who's the youngest child, they have him stand up, and then they call out Ashlyn's name, the middle child, and my name at the end, and be like, all their years at Stillwater combined was like 20 years. Because I actually did the math. My years at Stillwater plus Ashlyn's years at Stillwater plus Levi's years at Stillwater all combined to like 20 years.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely incredible. I think that's amazing. The Venman family, it's like 50 plus years, which is insane to me. It's so, that's like still crazy. I think, like, I can't imagine like how Mr. Venman was like feeling during that moment. But yeah, I mean, basically, the only thing that hindered my graduation was just the only recognition I got was Minecraft stuff. And to be honest, I haven't played. I'm not like a super huge fan of the game. All what I did was make a joke in one of my speeches about it, and it's like everyone saw that as like the green light to go just make a mockery of it and just use that final quote as a thing to remember me by.
Yeah. I got a bunch of, like, Mike is an author. He wrote a book. Yeah. So they, like, hyped me up.
Yeah.
And, like, people at my church were like, I didn't know you wrote a book. And I was like,
They did put in a plug for Space Cops Remastered, too. So that was also another funny little thing. Although I really hope no one, like... I feel like right before we were like kind of overhyping the release and everything, and the trailer came out and it was like super hype. But now I'm just kind of looking back at it like,
I watch Space Cops now and it's like, oof.
Yeah. I mean, there are some funny parts like the Josiah like Yoda scene. That is still to this day the best scene we've ever filmed in our short films. The music hits well. Jacob's just like, okay, like super funny, and Josiah delivers a perfect Yoda line and has that funny white towel wrapped around his body.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, after we graduated and I got my diploma, we had our little grad parties. I actually met Seth during the graduation.
Yeah.
And so now and like I hung and like obviously like when I went over to your house, we hung out with him a little more. I hope he still doesn't think of me as being like really dumb or anything.
Well, I mean, we listened to like most of Ram Ranch, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
8.
Big shout out to Legend. Oh, here's the thing. We didn't. Okay, for those of you who know what it is, Legend's the one who introduced us to that. So we didn't go around the internet. What are some really sus songs we can listen to? We didn't do that. It's just that by nature, Legend just wanted everyone to know what it was.
You want to sing it?
So yeah, we're not gonna sing it. You're gonna get demonetized.
8.
You can't sing it. You're gonna get demonetized.
Cowboys in the showers, Ram Ranch.
Please cut this out, man.
8.
You're gonna edit this out, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, no. You're gonna. I just deep fried my mic just yelling.
Ever so hard.
It's okay. It is borderline suspicious how often you like that stuff. Like you'll literally play it and you'll be like, oh,
in the yard.
Okay. Well, anyway, I hope Mike could cut all that out. To end off this podcast, overall, like, my experience was kind of in the middle. There was some good stuff, some bad stuff. It was just the end. It was ultimately the end goal that made it all worthwhile.
Yes.
I'd say.
Yes.
Obviously, no school experience is perfect. But we just hope that we were hoping that in the end it'd be worthwhile, and I think it was. Since we put in a lot of work, especially that second semester of our senior year to graduate, and we did it. I mean, we did it well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, our next podcast is gonna be about what we're doing right now, so it might be a shorter podcast, like a little bonus, like half hour, 45-minute podcast. I know this thing is like 2 hours long. So yeah, I mean, if you stuck around. Yeah. Also, yeah. Please like DM either me or like Micah if you like want to be a special guest on one of these episodes. That would be kind of funny. But yeah, I mean,
we'll try to get some special guests going up.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
And even if you don't want to like star in an episode, if you just want any kind of topic we want to talk about, like video game stuff or movie stuff or political stuff, which I'd recommend you don't ask us to talk about political stuff because because the internet is the internet is like rigged with like the was rigged by the political left in California.
Hey, whoa! I thought we weren't going political here. You can't say that. Anyway.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can't say that because now we're gonna get cancel cultured. So that's my bad.
I don't want to get on anybody's bad side with politics.
Exactly.
We're just trying to, have an entertaining podcast. So.
Yeah. There's plenty of other podcasts that do a better job of doing politics than we would anyway.
Yeah, because we're kind of
yes. If you stuck around this long, thanks for watching.
Yes.
Subscribe to Apathetic Revis. I don't have a YouTube channel. I probably won't.
Follow on Spotify. Check out the channel.
we have them on Spotify. And we did that so that you guys could listen to it as you like do other stuff instead of having the YouTube app open. But anyway, that'll be it. So yeah, thank you guys. Let us know if you have any ideas. All right, take care.
Yes.